Okay, let's unpack this deep dive into something we all run into pretty much every day. Eye contact. Imagine you're prepping for a big meeting, maybe an interview, or well, even just a first date or an important chat you need to have. What's like the number one piece of advice you always hear?
Oh, yeah. Make eye contact.
Hmm.
Always. It sounds so simple, doesn't it? Like, just look at them.
Exactly. But, if it's that simple, why is it actually kind of hard for so many of us? It can feel really awkward, maybe a bit forced, or just difficult to keep up.
And that's precisely what we wanted to dig into with the sources for this deep dive. We looked at why eye contact has such power,
Hmm.
and also why it's something people genuinely struggle with. And importantly, pull out some practical, actual strategies from the research to help you get better at it.
Yeah, think of this as maybe a shortcut to feeling a bit more confident, more effective in how you connect with people, just by getting a better handle on this really essential skill. We've tried to boil down the key ideas and the most useful tips for you.
Okay, so let's jump in. Why does it matter so much? What did the sources say is its like core function?
It really seems to be fundamental. The sources pretty consistently point to eye contact as the main way, the most powerful way we actually build trust between people. It's like a signal that says, I'm here, I'm engaged, I'm listening.
hmm And it's not just for the office or interviews. What's really interesting is how vital it is in our personal lives, too. Like connecting with your partner, your friends, even your children. It's how we kind of gauge if someone's being sincere, how we deepen that connection.
Right. And get the sources say this connection thing starts super early. Like eye contact is vital even for building that bond with babies, helping them figure out who you are, way before they understand words.
Wow. So the takeaway, the so what for you listening, is pretty big. If you're not using eye contact effectively, you might, without meaning to, be signaling things like, I'm not interested, or I lack confidence, maybe even I'm not trustworthy. The sources suggest you could literally be missing opportunities for connection, for understanding, maybe even for influence.
Okay, yeah, that makes the why pretty compelling. But again, the puzzle, if it's this important and sounds so basic, why the struggle? Why does it feel so awkward sometimes?
It really is a genuine challenge.
Yeah.
And the sources actually put numbers on it. One study found that over 55%, more than half of new students said they had difficulty maintaining eye contact in interviews. And this was even when they knew it was important.
Wow, 55%, that is a lot. So what's actually going on there? Why is it so hard?
Well, the sources often trace it back to psychological stuff,
Mm.
things like social anxiety, maybe a fear of being judged, or sometimes just not feeling very self-confident. People might start off okay, make eye contact initially, but then that discomfort creeps in and suddenly their eyes are like darting all over the place, or they just look away completely.
That feels very familiar, that sort of vulnerability, like someone's really seeing you. But okay, let's make a really important distinction the sources were clear on. Making eye contact is definitely not the same as, well, that other thing, that uncomfortable thing.
Absolutely. Scaring. Yeah. The sources define eye contact more like an engagement. You're looking towards their eyes, sure, but you can blink normally. You can look away for a second, gather your thoughts, maybe emphasize something, and then you come back. It should feel dynamic, like a visual conversation.
Right, it's part of the give and take. Staring, though, that's different.
Staring, yeah, the sources describe that as the fixed, intense, maybe unblinking gaze. It doesn't feel like connection. It feels weird, unnatural, uncomfortable for everyone. It's static. Can even feel a bit aggressive sometimes.
Got it. So the aim is comfortable, real engagement, not some kind of intense stare down. So how do we actually get better at the first one and avoid the second? How do the sources say we can, build this skill?
The really good news from the sources is that it is a skill. It's not like some magic talent you either have or you don't. And just like any skill, it gets way better with practice. The material kind of lays out a path, almost stages. Getting started, developing the skill, and then mastering it.
Okay, getting started. Let's break that down. What are some first steps, maybe lower pressure ways to build this muscle?
Yeah, the sources suggest starting where the stakes are low. One maybe surprising but logical first step is just practicing in the mirror. Literally, have a chat with yourself while looking into your own eyes. Some sources even suggested like scoring yourself. How long did you hold it? How to feel? It sounds a bit odd, maybe, but it totally removes the other person, the social anxiety part.
Right, takes the pressure off completely. Okay, what else for just getting the hang of it?
Visual reminders are another practical tip.
Mm-hmm.
Sticky notes, like near your webcam if you're online. Look here.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe set a phone reminder before an important meeting. Hey, eye contact, just a little nudge.
Simple cues.
And building on that low-stakes idea, practice with people you're already really comfortable with. Close friends, family, maybe even kids.
Yeah.
The sources point out kids can be pretty direct, which is good practice in itself.
Okay, so safe spaces first. Anything else crucial for this first stage?
Yeah, two more really key things. First, the sources are super clear. Don't forget to be a link. It sounds basic, right? But when you're concentrating hard on making eye contact, it's easy to kind of freeze up, and that's when you slip into staring. Blinking makes it look and feel natural.
Okay, blinking. Got it. And the other thing?
And for something a bit different, one source mentioned practicing with pets. Although they did add, kind of amusingly, that dogs often look down as a submission thing.
Yeah.
But still, it's practice looking at another living thing while you're talking.
Huh, okay. Mirror, reminders, family, blink, maybe the cat. Sounds like a solid start. So once you're feeling a bit more comfortable there, how do the sources suggest we, develop the skill for more everyday interaction?
Right. This next stage is more about keeping it going for longer, maybe in slightly trickier situations without it feeling forced or weird. A really neat technique the sources talk about is looking at the triangle area. That spot right between someone's eyebrows, top of the nose bridge. From a normal conversational distance, people usually can't tell you're not looking directly in their eyes. But it gives you a single point to focus on, which feels less intense than locking onto one eye or, that awkward switching back and forth.
Oh, that's a clever trick. Takes the pressure off, but still looks engaged. What other sort of structure did the sources offer?
They bring up the 50-70 rule. It's pretty widely cited. Basically, aim for eye contact about 50% of the time when you're the one speaking.
Okay.
And bump that up to around 70% of the time when you're listening. The thinking is more eye contact when listening really shows you're tuned in. You're absorbing what they're saying.
That gives a concrete target. Handy. What if even the triangle feels like a bit much sometimes, or you just feel your eyes wanting to dart around?
Yeah, if you're feeling scattered, the sources suggest a simple fallback. Just pick one eye. Focus on one. It's way better than your eyes jumping all over, which can look, shifty, or avoiding contact altogether. Just pick one and stick with it for a little while.
Simple fix for feeling overwhelmed. Okay. And the sources mentioned something for those really high-stakes moments too, right?
Yes. The 3-second challenge. This is for when you need to say something really important, like asking for that raise or expressing a strong feeling, setting a boundary. The advice is to consciously make and hold eye contact for those critical 3 seconds while you actually say the important words. It adds a ton of weight and sincerity.
Ooh, that takes real intention.
Yeah.
Okay, and what about practicing with strangers? That sounds like a bigger leap.
It is, yeah, but the sources frame it as low-stakes public practice. Think about ordering coffee or at the grocery checkout, talking to service staff. Consciously make eye contact for just a few seconds during those brief interactions. It's short, the situation is defined, you'll probably never see them again. It's a good training ground for getting comfortable with unfamiliar faces.
Those are great practical steps for building up. Okay, so finally, how do the sources talk about mastering eye contact, like really integrating it?
Right, mastering is about making it feel totally natural, second nature, and using it strategically as part of your whole communication package. The sources really stress combining eye contact with other things like changing your vocal tone, using pauses effectively, bringing in relevant facial expressions or body language. When eye contact works together with these other elements, your whole presence becomes much more impactful and, authentic.
Ah, so it's not just this one isolated thing, it's part of the whole picture of how you come across.
Exactly. And another really powerful technique the sources suggest for mastery is recording yourself.
Yeah.
Just talking to your phone's selfie camera. Pretend the lens is the person you're talking to. Then watch it back. See where your eyes actually go, how long you hold contact, how comfortable you seem.
Oh gosh, watching yourself back is always revealing, isn't it?
It really is. Painful sometimes, but so insightful. You see things you just can't feel while you're doing it.
Yeah. And what about adding emotional flavor to the eye contact?
The sources mention that too, incorporating subtle facial expressions with the eye contact. A little nod, maybe a slight raise of the eyebrows, a small smile. These things convey interest or maybe skepticism or empathy. They make the eye contact much richer than just a blank look.
So it's about what you communicate through the look, not just the looking itself. And you mentioned the sources also touched on digging into the why behind the difficulty.
Yes, and this seems pretty crucial for really mastering it. If, say, social anxiety or insecurity is the real root of the problem, the sources suggest that while all this practice helps a lot, really reflecting on and maybe addressing those deeper issues is key for feeling truly comfortable and confident with eye contact in all kinds of situations long term.
Getting to the root makes sense. And lastly, what about when you're talking to more than one person, like a group?
Yeah, the sources offer ideas for that too, like practicing eye contact in presentations or group chats. They suggest things like mentally dividing the room into zones and making contact with someone in each zone, or doing a slow kind of circular scan of the group. Apparently, getting good at group eye contact can actually make one-on-one feel much easier by comparison.
That totally tracks. If you can handle a room, one person seems less intimidating.
Right. So the big picture from the source is really that by actively working on these skills, practicing them, you really do improve your ability to connect genuinely with people. You lower the risk of being misunderstood or, having opportunities slip away just because you weren't fully signaling your presence and engagement.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, the main message seems really clear. Eye contact isn't some fixed trait, it's a crucial communication skill. And the sources we looked at give us a pretty clear roadmap for learning it, for improving it, but it definitely takes conscious practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't feel like you have to tackle all 15 odd tips we just talked about all at once. That'd be overwhelming. Maybe just pick one or two things from those getting started or developing stages that kind of clicked with you. Write them down, set those reminders, and just commit to trying them out regularly, in easy situations first.
And maybe think about it this way. Could you be letting important connections, maybe opportunities, or just moments of real understanding slip by simply because you're not quite connecting fully with the person right there in front of you? As the sources suggest, that very first step to really connecting is often just, well, being able to really see each other eye to eye. So maybe ask yourself, what specific interaction today or tomorrow are you going to consciously use to practice this skill?